I mean, every news agency has their sources, and you're going to get that inside information. Until it's confirmed, I wouldn't be reporting on that until it's actually confirmed by law enforcement. So I think, I don't think the media should be reporting on that until it's confirmed. You have mothers and fathers and families who are sitting at home. They may not have been reached out to their kids. So, I mean, oh my goodness, what does that tell you, right? Um,
Right.
I was just going through over social media, and there's so much craziness on social media right now about this. And Amy, I looked at one account, and it's like a 40-year-old lady from Idaho who has no connection. So you get these rumors, but my concern is media is now reporting that. Is that factual, or are we just waiting to hear that officially from the police? I think it's a little early to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. And as a parent who's very close to the situation, it is frightening to read those headlines and knowing that I work in the media and those are not coming from any sources that we are familiar with. So that is a very good point. So Jamie, obviously I'm looking ahead into the future. I would think that this is a situation where they will likely cancel classes tomorrow as well. I mean, this is just one of those situations where this is going to be an active and ongoing investigation, regardless of, who's in custody or how many people were killed. This is something where they are going to probably at least through the weekend. Of course, we've got a holiday weekend, Good Friday tomorrow and Easter on Sunday.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we're coming up on Good Friday, Easter. I would suggest that campus is probably going to be closed. I don't think it'll open Monday. I think you're looking probably the middle of the week next week. We've seen this play out so many times, unfortunately, and it just takes time to go back and document all the evidence and build the case as you would any criminal case. So Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, I would pick probably Wednesday if I had to guess.
Yeah, that makes sense. And certainly this campus saw a couple of hurricanes in the fall, and the kids were out for a week at a time for those. And this is a much, much different type of situation. So we're just praying, Jamie, that, that these students are okay, that these injuries are not fatal injuries, and that they're going to be okay, because some of the other things we're reading are really scary. I imagine, Jamie, and you mentioned it, and I'm seeing it too. Sometimes you kind of go down this Twitter or X rabbit hole and you start seeing some of these videos. We are seeing some videos that appear to show victims on the ground in an open area, in a green space. I'm sure you're seeing that too. And that's the one thing we also don't know. We don't know if the shooting happened indoors or outdoors. We did hear from people who said they heard gunshots. And then we talked to a gentleman who was in the student union building who said he never heard gunshots, which seems hard to believe, because obviously if someone's shooting guns on campus like that, you would think, especially in close proximity, you would hear it.
Yeah, I have an opinion on that, Amy, but it's unconfirmed. I would love to share that with you, but I just think it would not be, number one, it's just wrong to do that. But I would tend to think, and this is just my opinion, the shooting may have started outside. And it's also my opinion that I believe the gunman may have ran inside one of the buildings with police in pursuit. And I do believe there were some shots fired subsequently to that chase. Is just my opinion, unconfirmed, Amy.
Okay. Yeah, but that would make sense based on some of the videos that we're seeing. But again, we just, at this point, Jamie, and it's hard to know. And we used to be that you could, if you see it, you can believe it. In today's world of AI and how quickly these social media channels work, you really can't anymore. It's sad, but we're in a situation where we can't always believe what we see, because unfortunately things can be manufactured pretty quickly.
Off the topic, but on the topic, Amy, I just encourage people, if you're on social media, we're all on TikTok, Facebook, what have you. You see these go down like that. Remember, there's an Amy, or there's a John and Susie who have students or someone involved in that event. And we just must be prudent in what we post, especially if we don't know the facts. I mean, there's a mom and a dad and a family somewhere sitting on pins and needles waiting for accurate information. And I think it's improper to do that on social media, and it hurts families like yourself.
Yeah, absolutely, Jamie.
Jamie, you talked about the importance of police kind of going through and talking with witnesses and trying to decipher what exactly happened. I want to talk, if we can, about what they might be looking for when it comes to evidence, physical evidence, and that kind of thing, especially in a scene that potentially could be spread out rather largely in throughout, an area of campus there?
Yeah, number one, life and property is second. They're looking for that shooter. So once they secure that scene, then they're going to rush these kids into a holding area, which we've talked about. So, you know, these students are being contained in these areas also so they don't contaminate that crime scene. So what you do is methodically do the crime scene investigators, just like you did looking for the shooter. You're going to mark all the evidence, all the physical evidence. You're going to tag it, and then later to be literally collected and put into evidence. But they've got to get a handle on where this shooter was, and take a moment of silence for these kids and these students and these families. And Amy, we see these, and Garrett, we see these all the time in the news cycle. And I say this every day when I see these. That news cycle goes in and it goes out, but these families are now affected. Legacies are affected forever. And people don't really understand and comprehend that, guys. This is changing family dynamics forever. And these kids, to see a war zone, which it was described as a war zone, and these horrific injuries, our kids shouldn't have to see this.
No, they shouldn't. And it's horrific to think that how often, sadly, this happens. One of the things that the mom that I've been speaking to just told me is she said that they're moving the kids now with their hands up to a different location. She said they are asking them to move with their hands up, which I guess, Jamie, obviously that is just so that so the officers know that these are kids, right? Just kids that are moving across campus. There's nothing to be concerned about. She said they are now taking them by bus to the Civic Center. The Civic Center, they're in Tallahassee, and she said, I'm praying that this is now over and she'll finally be able to go home. But again, this just goes back to what you were saying, Jamie, earlier about having to secure, as you said, like a small city, which is what, Florida State campus is. It's a large area with a lot of kids.
Yeah, I mean, the hands up, we've seen that in all of these events that we've covered over the years. And, that's a student safety thing. It's a police safety thing. You just don't know, and you cannot second guess that the scene's cleared. So you have to be 100% sure all the time. And, the good thing is these students are now being bused to reunify and to decompress, and hopefully to start speaking to some counselors immediately. But, keep in mind, these eye and ear witnesses, they're going to continue to go through this, guys, because they're now going to be interviewed by law enforcement as part of that crime scene. So it's a lot of trauma, 360, if you will.